A careful bold hypothesis. Reasonable doubt subversion history. Hello everyone, I Chen Shipeng. Again today to help you subvert history. What today's theme is to subvert it. That's the beauty. Let's talk about that beauty. I think we should have heard of. Two pairs of adjectives: beauty. A flowers and the moon. One is beauties. In fact, these two idioms represents the Chinese for beauties. Refers to the so-called Xin Yu Shi Shi. Wang Zhaojun Luo Yan refers to the so-called. Refers to the so-called closed-on Diaochan. Shame to spend it refers to young. One of the beauties why it is called Xin Yu. It turned out she had to go to the stream Sha. Later, the fish looked. Actually be confused by her beauty. Actually forgot to sink to the bottom of the river swim. So then, Xin Shi Tzu will become synonymous with fish. Such a describe, of course, is very exaggerated, but we can also imagine. Had come up with this adjective literati. That he should have seen similar stunning beauty. Will come up with such a describe. However, talked about this place. Do not know if you ever have a question. She sure is. In the end, it is the name applied to the West, or if the fast responsive people should think of mere copycat idiom. This place is not wrong to infer from the, since there are beauties with East facilities, that she should not have seen surname West. But one of her living in the East village or village this place. She sure lived in the West village or village. Logically speaking this should be applied right name. But such a statement. It was also questioned, oh why? Because the use of the ancient surname. As we are not the same. How to say? Ancient surname. It is a fixed location. That's where the comparison be used by men. Women's surname is used. Previously name will be placed. Name after name will be placed. So we give 4 sons. That is the 4th son of the Warring States period view. Which Ping Yuan? Which Ping Yuan? He was surnamed Zhao Windspots. So look at it so. His name would be Zhao Shang. If you are a woman. She has a woman's body, then name will turn up. She would turn out to be Zhao Shang. Win-win like this. So this point of view, as well as its ancient name surname, really is not the same with us now. Beauty, then look like this. According to historical records, said Shi Shuri called the light. If the light Ishur view, we first instinct would think her surname sure right. But if in accordance with the ancient usage view, then surnames. That beauty is not a surname sure. But she is sure's name and surname e light fishes. So talked about this place. Do not know if we fell below glasses. We often talk about the original surname sure she sure is not. She is actually a surname light. However, here is said to be of special note. In fact, this last name usage to the Warring States period and have been all mixed up as a. Even later Qinmi 6 countries. That is, Qin Shi Huang unified the world. Also said the enactment of the world. There are a variety of ways before. Do surname. Too complicated. Now all into one. So who is also a surname is muddy. That is no longer the point surname. But since no point surname. In the end with the last name it's still. Here you keep. One use that is explained. Although the man's used. But it will be with your fiefs. Or official position change at any time. But it is a fixed sustained surname handed down. So if the child is such. Surname into one of the words, will actually hand it down. Of course, to be fixed surname. The beauty of her place in the late spring and autumn period. Is not it also has evolved into such usage? We do not know. But it is interesting that, as a beauty nickname, it is to be more famous than her real name Shuri Light. Therefore, we call in the beauty of the moment. Do not call her Shuri Light, but called her Beauty Shi Shi. The beauty of the name, so it handed down. So we said, no matter, Shi Shi in the end is the name or surname Light. But must have such a stunning woman. And there have been a nickname called a Shih Tzu. It is beyond doubt. Since it is no doubt a name like this. But we talk about say. Ancient has been said that beauty is a fiction say. How to say? Because the historical data at the time of the times, Zhui including Mandarin, etc., all are not mentioned. The beauty of human existence, even Sima Qian's historical records. For his deeds Zionist Go Jian. Very clear but also did not mention beauty of existence. So we have to ask that if there is beauty in the end it. For now the oldest existing historical point of view. It is recorded in the books of the philosophers. In the Pro-Mo Sure article mentioned that there are. Therefore in its anti-exterminate then dry also. Meng Bans also kill their courage. The United States also Shin Shih Tzu. She also being to split the. This means that the reason Baigan will be killed. Because he is too noble a virtue. Meng Ben reason why people will be killed. But also because he was too brave She sure is the reason why people sink into the water inside. Because she has extraordinary beauty. The reason why people are Julie Wu Qi. That's because he's too much of this fact. Note that you. Bygone Meng Qi Ben are a real person. And Sima Qian's historical records also mentioned that he. So if it seems like this photo. Mosey these four people abreast. Beauty cannot be a fictional character. It should be a real person, right? And not just mentioned Mo. I checked at the time of classics. At least in the pre-Qin era. Or during the spring and autumn period of this. There are at least 10 mentioned beauties. Like, say a pipe mentioned. Mao Chang Shishir is also the world of beauty. Shen also mentioned that the child, Mao Chang Shishir Jiao also the world matter. Dead child is mentioned. Mao Yu Jianchang people of the United States and its surface is also beauty. Oh there. We often familiar with Mencius Xuanzi. Also have mentioned the beauty. The former is mentioned Shishir Meng unclean. And the latter is referred to Li Shi. There is also a mention of the presence of beauty. Han Fei Zi is now again. Also mentioned beauty. The former is to say, it's beautiful but evil beauty also. The latter is also mentioned beauty. Waring again also mentioned that. Brown beauty clothes said the United States and the world, that even if she then wear tattered clothes, we still think she is beautiful. Even with Chu Yuan Song. Also mentioned in his works inside. I have listed you so much historical data. Telling you say. She sure this man really existed. Cannot be fiction. Since it is impossible fiction. Then we have to ask, why not Sima Qian? A woman written such an important go. Later scholars have speculated that there should be two. One that is. Sima Qian thought, said. The historical data in the previous. Zhou told in Mandarin. She did not mention. This then increases. He went to check the degree of difficulty. Coupled with the beauty itself is just a nickname. Her life and her story. He made to her hometown. Have not investigated the. Since there can be no investigation into those credit. Of course, no way to confirm the historical data. Write it into. The second reason is most likely. In these previously mentioned historical books among philosophers. Mentioned that the value of Shi Shi Yan. And she did not mention more than contribute to history. Since there is no mention that her contribution to history. Not enough praise on behalf of her. Do not need to remember a fortune. So Sima Qian. Will not written into the beauty. So no matter what kind of reason. At least can be sure. She sure is really its people. Her story is just. May not be able Sima Qian got into his stuff. There is a saying that. I think it is more likely. This statement from Qing Dynasty scholar Zhou Shank. That week Shank. Mencius in his debate mentioned that there are In fact, in ancient times earlier, does have a beauty named Shih Tzu? And this beauty later became beauty said on behalf of, because xia ji, also referred to as beauties. Later in the late spring and autumn, the emergence of this beautiful country has also been given the nickname beauties. The reason is because, since ancient times there have been a classic beauty. So then she gave up match. How beautiful is she in the end? The situation like this, in fact, not uncommon in the modern, we are now beauty. Like, say Stephanie Puff Lin Xiling, are regarded as representative of the different types of beauty. So now come out to newcomers. Others will be on the small crown Lin Xiling, Stephanie Guofu Small Snow White. It has become even be said on behalf of beauty. To see you this very familiar. Taiwan's specialty beauties. Are not we all put this? Sale of beetle nut beauties of these female clerk. Also called beetle nut beauties. If we do not put the beauties, the origin of this name down, then thousands of years, some scholars believe that it will not. Beetle nut beauties are real people. And she was called Beetle Nut Beauty's name. Is it possible to do so as a nickname? I personally think that she really existed. So talking about this, we can safely say her beauty is not fiction, is a real person. Regardless of whether she is surnamed Sure. But she used to have this beauty nickname. This is no doubt it right. Well, since we certainly there is this person that we are going to see the beauty of life. Beauty of life. In the two books which recorded it in detail. One is that more must book a Waiwachunkiu. What most controversial places have felt. These two books are the works of the Eastern Han Dynasty. From the late spring and autumn is full bit far. The results under the age of situation from a distance. The more detailed written information instead. Do not you think this kind of thing you seems a bit fabricated, suspected, right? But the beauty of the image. Because really describe these two books to life and become rich. So we take a look. Both books describe how beauty is in the end of. It said these two books which mentioned that Shih Tzu is a village in Zhujiang Limonene Dil. Father was cutting wood for a living. Usually the mother will help people Shih Tzu when nothing. Will follow the stream to help the mother to Shih. So this is the river later became Shih Creek. In the 15-year-old Shih Tzu year. Go order Zionist. Please find a beauty family. To display their beauty meter trapped inside Fusako. So he visited the country. To find a woman that is the beauty. Then put her back to the palace to be trained. After the training is over, Wu took her to go. Come and display their honey trap. So some people, and therefore the beauty. Known as China's first female spy. In the end is not the first female Chinese spy. This we have yet to be controversial. In the future have the opportunity to talk. But the beauty and later completed her task. Later, Wu successfully make out to be dead. After the death out. The problem is that in the end she came to where to go. Later said she went with family. Together Wyatt retreated into the shadows. Because there are more must book in particular mentioned that. After the death of Wu, family Shih Tzu reversion away with the Pan 5 Lakes. This represents Wu said after the death. Family Shih Tzu returned to the side. Two people will retire arena. Then go all over the world to play Go. Such a statement. Let future generations say speculation. Two people should have love happen. So then. Ever concocted by ancient scholars. Even to the time of the Ming Dynasty. Another playwright named Liang Chen Fish. He works in his opera. Shah also specifically made this record. The contents inside. Family fell in love with the beauty that speaks of the process. This process is put romance. Touching. later, due to popularity. Let the love story of two people wider are known. Although this Liangchen fish to two people fell in love. Speak is so lively and vivid. But two people really love it. In fact, debatable. Why? Because the book which must just say two people with the tour 5 lakes away, but did not mention two people fell in love. Is it possible? Just two tasks hero. Informal off the ground, so he retired teacher on the street with the right. Well, this is a. That means that in addition inside Waiwachunkiu. In the end, the beauty of the. But now more must book records out differently. Why not the same? Because Waiwachunkia say. Later, Shinshitsu is to go inside the water. Seen in this light, then so. Two people in the end, whether love is a problem. And you may not know. That is with Fanli Shishir. In fact, when before beauty female spy. No chance to see each other again. Fanli because his hometown in the state of Chu. Prior to the country when officials never left home. That he cannot be with beauty childhood. It is impossible to know beauty. So at least until that Gojian want a Zionist. When he went to beauty school. He was met beauties. And when he met Shishir. It rushed her to the palace training. Have no chance. Give them a chance to get along alone. That did not get along is unlikely to Rigioshenking. They also said that. Could it be that the escort beauties would love to woo in the process it? That is quite possible. But just said more must book. They say away with the 5 lakes tour. But it is also mentioned in the book. Wu Shishir was not escorted to Fanli. Instead languages, further a Waiwachunkiu. Said Fanli escort who was right. But the beauty of it was miserable fate. Is submerged to death. Seen in this light so. Both this contemporary book. There are actually completely different person escort. There are completely different ending. Look like this. Fanli Shishir with. Whether in the end they're really romance. Is also very questionable right? Okay, so if you want to see two people. In the end they're really love. You may want to look at their tomb. Come and see if they are buried together. To be able to know, do they have gone in the same situation 5 lakes tour? So in speaking before the tomb. Let's look at the beauty of fate. Shishir's fate, according to the book never mentioned is that there. Is her fate is. Together with Fanli retreated into the shadows. This is one way of saying. But another way of saying. There have also mentioned. Annals of Wu said that. She is submerged to death. But she submerged to death. That is, if people are drowning. In the end who is under the hand of it. There are also different versions of O. Like, say Mo here only mentioned that. The United States also Shih Tzu. Because the more people feel that. Beauty so beautiful country possible disaster. She sink into the water directly to the inside. Others say. Submerged not the person who was Wu. Wu people were dead because their country proud. Also in Waiwachunkiu inside. The people who are mentioned start go. After Wu went out. He made with rawhide leather. The beauty wrap. Sink into the water to go inside. So here. The man is said to start Gojian. But Feng Meng Ming dynasty. Zhou is mentioned that. Not really start go. But Mrs. Go why? Since go after the Zionist. The first thing. Is to patronize beauty got good. So beautiful bell. To actually enjoy the king. I did enjoy how can. The results of his concubine. Let Mrs. Go feel very well done. You actually put this. Wu brought the dead to enjoy the beauty. Well, this is your beauty. Seduce monarch misconduct. So after this. She sent and beauty arrested. Sink into the water to go inside. So in this version. Who is said to start with Mrs. Go. But there is a fourth version. The fourth version is in the Aina Jushur Qing dynasty, written by Holywater. Bean Shed Gossip. Here is the head says. Fanli, who is the real start. Why do you want to start with Fanli? Fanli said that since, now let off Wuxi sure. That the roots of troubles. Or do not stay good. Stay has the potential to go Jin. Repeat. Therefore, in this place, people start to become a family. Now that there are so many versions, then we may have to look at the tomb of two people. But since Beauty submerged died, she should not be the tomb of, unless she is with family. 5 lakes together with the tour right away. So maybe we can look at another tomb that is a protagonist of family. Family spoke words. A lot of people will be based on historical records. Because there are historical records which mention that he later draped Family Chi boat to go east. He then went to a lot of money to do business. So they stop at Tao. Here's beyond Tao. Tao is settled in this place. Tao, where does this place in Shandong? So now there are 2 places in Shandong. At least there is the tomb of family. One is Shandong Dingtao. Another is the Shandong Feicheng. But these 2 tombs, family in the end is not the real tomb. It was also questioned why. Records, because he mentioned here hermitage. May not mention that he was buried here. After his death, they might. Later, it was buried in his hometown, right? So then there is a historical too. Both are present. Northern and Southern dynasties era works. One is the historical records variorum. Jean is a typical note. These 2 books are very clear, precisely mentioned that Tao Zhu Huarong Mound in. That Huarong in Hunan, this place. That he went back to. Huarong buried in his hometown here. But this argument. It was also questioned why. Because if you now Hunan Huarong look at this place. Is not found in the tomb where Fan Li, after falling in the end, is turned into a Huanjian Manko. No one knows his whereabouts. Or simply do not do in this place. So these 2 historical data was also questioned. Because the Northern and Southern dynasties, Eastern Jin dynasty more often a little late, right? But there is a place. The tomb family is too much a suspected mass graves. In the annals of Anhui is mentioned that there are special. The Dr. Fan Li tomb. Fan Li village in Guiyang southeast. This place is mentioned that he has lived here his later years. Then simply buried here. This is a very clear Hui Tong know what to say. He was in his later years lived in this place. There's tomb here. So it was on to see special. This place is not really the tomb of family. He came to this place. See, here does have a small mound. Next there is surrounded by green water, but seems deserted. There is barely able to make it on the mark, then is in the south of this small hillside. There is a key cultural relics in Anhui province. A brand of cultural relics protection units. There are ancient tombs above mentioned that Mount Amei. But this is not the tomb of family. Among the cards from this protection cannot tell. Even better is the tomb of family. Why not re-establish the brand protection? The Defengs Hangfu not it be regulation. So some people say that speculation. The official also likely to send experts. Come to this place a preliminary inquest exploration. After mining think says. This place should be just a memorial mound. Family is not the real burial. So do not receive proper care of this place. Even built a memorial temple. Even originally erected to protect brand. Also casually discarded, also split in half. Seen in this light, then so. Anhui Annals records. Family does not seem to be true, right tomb. But these family tomb. But which one? Have not mentioned that there is beauty buried with him. So you want to know the beauty. In the end she had no bones in it. It must put a few tomb. All dug out of view on a look. But these Defangs Hangfu. No excavation plans. So in fact, if we want to confirm. Are the words of beauty in it? currently enter the halls. But it is very interesting. There is an archaeological discovery in 2002. Family seems to tell us that the earthly tomb. This is how all good. This would be talked about to say. In 2002, when Koyama Rivers and Lakes this place. Expressway renovation project. Because renovation's filling. So excavators on the small hill not far from. To take over this earth fill. The results in the process of digging in. Found some pottery. So they see this pottery found. This may not be a simple matter. Project leader chances. Direct escalated. Because if the words of the destruction of cultural relics or tombs, that guilt is heavy. After receiving notification when official. It is then sent archaeologists to carry out preliminary exploration. Under this incredible result detected. Why? Because these tiles. Actually decade can be traced back to the Warring States period. Since it is the tomb of the Warring States period. How can not be taken lightly? So then set up immediately the archaeological team official. To salvage archaeology. After that some rescue archaeology. They say initially determined. The tomb is the tomb of Alexander Hung. Is the tomb of the country aristocrat. And it is not a single tomb. It is a group of ancient tombs. A total of 7 tombs. The largest mound is called a tomb-bearing pier. And the tomb mound-bearing pier. Suspected that the tomb of Yu family. How should I say good? Among Cho Chang Pier because in this large tomb. Since the 3 things. The owner of the tomb to prove the identity of the extraordinary. The first is a cladding jade green jade. You'll notice that this jade cladding. There are a number of snakes of the above pattern. Dragon with snake. In ancient times is a symbol of noble status. At least on behalf of the owner of the tomb status. He is actually quite distinguished. The second thing is the shape of a dragon one. The dragon is a dragon one since it also sets the. That is, on behalf of his extraordinary identity. And the dragon one. Suspected say the tomb owner. Identity status as Princess General. If the king and claims himself a king. That under the doctor of course, also possible. Is like a vassal status of right good. There is a third kind of things. This is called enamel glass plate snake exquisite ball, the top 8 exquisite ball snake. The ancient snake is seen as the incarnation of the dragon. It was also known as dragons. The more people and especially compliant snake. It represents the identity of the tomb owner. You can catching monarch, but the tomb Gojian have been played out. So the owner of the tomb. Likely status under Gojian. It is not likely. It is the country doctor. Then we count the doctor in the side of Gojian. 2 people have contributed the most. Family is a kind of a text is. However, if in accordance with said historical data. Records that. Sima Qian's historical records have mentioned that. Later, after family retired. Alias Tao Zhu's words. That side of the tomb in more countries. Languages should be the right of the tomb. The fact described Waiwa Chunkiu. There may be really full text of species tomb. How to say, because the Zionist after Gojian. When put this kind of hero to kill. After killing, later, they buried him in the country's western hills. Here is the country's capital, meaning capital. And after Gojian in off Wu. The more countries put their own capital. Wu moved to the capital to go. They come and take this humiliation. So in the capital of Jiangsu Wu. The west is now in Jiangsu. Jiangsu Hong tomb of Alexander the place. So if the location of view, then. This Zhou Cheng Pier tomb. Just the same as described in the annals of Wu. The text is not wrong kind of tomb. Also in this tomb. Also unearthed 2 things. One is Yujian is a first grid. These 2 things are parts of the body of the sword. So some people say that these 2 things on speculation. It is likely that Gojian. In giving languages when he died. Lu is a sword given to him, and are of Lu sword fittings. But why only accessories? The blade does not. That is because encounter. The results of thieves coveted. Because the eastern part of the tomb found for Daodong said it would prove dynasties may have grave robbers. I figured out that there is a tomb used to go to these relics of the tomb. It steal away. That its blade and therefore not seen. So the grid with the UGN first look. The tomb seems really possible. Language's tomb is right. But if we certainly. Languages are the words of the tomb. Historical records differ from any connection. Why? Said experts found. Here only 2 ramps. However, according to the description Waiwachunkyu says here are the envy of rival powers. It should have 3 ramps. Now that number is not correct, then ramps. That representative said that this might not be the tomb of languages. What if the text is not the kind of tomb? Is the tomb of the other country Dr. Do? Some experts have proposed a very bold assumption. He believes that this tomb, so its high standard of, can use 8 snake exquisite ball. That should be nothing wrong with family tomb. Why is it the tomb of family? Most likely Gojian. Later, the secret family to death. Together with the beauty with him sink into the water inside. But afterwards conscience. So give him a big built this tomb. He gave a lot of rich grave goods. But he did not give any proof of identity. Because he did not want to let people know. Later, the secret family killed himself. Such a statement is purely speculation. They are just records from this statement. Extends from. Because they think say. Family go then afterwards kill. For fear of people know. He will play offensive. Also rumors that particular release. Family she sure with them because private life. Ran himself retreated into the shadows of the. This argument of course is a sheer speculation. Bold inference. But in 2003. There is a tomb artifacts appear after. Seems to confirm. Like this a bold assumption. How to say? When it comes to this place. He is a right good charade. That said, we take a look at 2003. In the political arena site here. They performed Jianshugenqing. Inadvertently dug a tomb. Inside this tomb relics. Almost have been a steel empty. But inside but left 3 bamboo. This is a 3 bamboos probe. Found to be very old. Bamboo is a spring and autumn period, but this bamboo spring and autumn period actually left a top 21 words. Let's look at what to write 21 words. It is said that good writing ensure Wu potential through 3 years of the beginning. Language children to quality facilities for the pavilion had me on. The first 2 sentences are well understood. Family she sure is fornication with. Later, Wu 3 years to reach this place. But language to children as hostages pavilion. This place is weird. How will use the pavilion to a hostage it? The results therefore have to force yourself to beauty. This in the end talking about what? At that time this speech. Stimulate discussion of archaeological experts. They're archaeological experts. Later found clues in a book inside. We take a look. This book is the Han and Tang geography book notes. Inside have mentioned that this Jiaxing Xian South. There is a pavilion called Language Children Pavilion. It was originally go to escort when family she sure to Wu. The way to go through the place. But it is also mentioned here. 3 years to reach Wu. But beauty in the way of pregnancy. To the pavilion when gave birth to a child. Just because this pavilion gave birth to this child, put the child called Language Children Pavilion. So from this record, we then follow it in front of. Do echo the words of a bamboo. You should be ready to come, you will find the. Meaning that family she sure is in the process of escorting. And later fell in love with the beauty sighting Shangshan. She also allow pregnant. After giving birth to the child beauty results. Do not want to carry out there. As the liability of the female spy. Family said the results would force her. If you do not, then. I put our 2 sons born to kill. So then forced to beauty. Just continue to go around Fuchai. She completed the task of being a female spy. To display their honey trap. Seen in this light, then, if you. The Count is a scum family. Followed by the sweet beauty cheat on. She would also like to throw herself. There is no this man is insane. And in the process. Go also suspected no why. Because honey trap play is the sooner the better. The results of this honey trap. Actually a cast for 3 years. Light spent 3 years to go this section of track. How can you say? Go was a slave in the side Fuchai. He may have been right hope left hope not wait. Piven species is likely to have to go check it out case. Even to go quickly languages. Urged the 2 quickly hit the road, so this may also explain. Why Waiwachunkiu? More must book with a completely different statement, because the 2 versions. Just who is the Lord who is vice backwards? My personal guess is like this. That is a start to escort beauties. Family is around Fuchai. But because dragged too long. Go called languages come. So then more must book was said to be. Languages escort beauties go to more countries. But after go Zionist grudge. So then you feel that. The 2 of you actually happen to me affair. So does that. He did not attack the king side. Due to the Zionist. Now I study after completion of the responsibilities of the. They put the 2 arrested. The water inside the sink to death. So says more must book mentions. He mentioned. Go Jian after the release of rumors. But he may know the truth why Wachunkiu. Shinshi put things written into the water and died. So this way is not it also be explained. Why are there 2 different versions of it? It seems that the words. Beauty seems to have really fell in love with family. But this love of the truth. Now we imagine is not the same right. But despite the good when it comes to this place. But still no agreement. Why? Because we still have no way to say for sure. Where is the beauty of the fall? But it is interesting that. Later, I saw a pseudompa of a foreign body. Which mentioned that the Yangtze River mermaid. Yangtze River is also known as the Yangtze River fish beauty. Its body color of the fish will become and fine meat and delicious. After eating a woman can increase obsequiousness. It is said that after Shih Tzu Xinjiang illusion made. I therefore find special. The Yangtze River in the end what fish? She called the fish. I found 2 species. One is the Yangtze River shad. It claims the fish in beauty. But no mention of it will change color. Another fish. Channel catfish, one of the Yangtze Samsun. The catfish you look matte finish right. But there is no mention that it is the beauty of fish. So I personally think that. Just Sue records. The fish does not exist. But Sue put this matter. Is written Dongpa foreign body. What does it mean that? He must have seen representatives of relevant historical data. Know that beauty is submerged to death. He will write the follow-up of a legend. Fish is the beauty of legend. That said, I personally think that. At that time the 2 men were killed go. There are some news leaked. And by some pipeline. Continue to explain in words down. So the Eastern Han Dynasty Waiwachunkiu will know what to say. 2 people are not with the 2 or 5 lakes away. But Go is submerged died. I do not know that talked about this place. Whether you agree with such a conclusion. However talked about this place. The way we talk to say. A phrase associated with beauty. That is mere copycat. The East sure also suspected of carrying the unrighted wrong since the millennium. How should I say good? In fact, we should say that this story is mentioned. Z-Day operation originally recorded in chapter. It is mentioned that. She sure because chest tightness often frown. The results of an ugly person they see fellow. That said. Beauty from frown. So she learned. The results of this study it. Let people deserted. Someone behind closed doors some people started to run. But this ugly man. In the end is not known East facilities. Not mentioned here. So why is there the origin of Dongshurit? That is because there is a later Northern Song dynasty, geographical encyclopedia, called the Peace in Mind. In Peace in Mind, which mentioned that. Shishi's hometown. There are now divided into East Shih village. Later celebrity Huang Ting. Based on this historical data, therefore believe say. Z-Day Operation Ugly People mentioned in the article. Living in the East Village is one of this place. So put what she called Dongshi. So this ugly man. It may not be entirely original, called Dongshi. According to historical Huang Ting too interpenetrating. The results will far-fetched. And I personally think that says. This probably is not ugly Dongshi. She was just plain, how do you say? Because in ancient historical data, if a girl looks super ugly, words, her ugly name will be first on the sum of the historical record. Therefore, as no salt is ugly woman or the mother Wu Yan. These well-known bad guy first aired out all the ugly name. Only later did go out of her deeds. But this is Dongshi. Prior to this story. Later, people get the woman called Dongshi. So you do not think you have. Dongshi really bear 1,000 years unrighted wrong. She did not ugly after just learned the beauty of the grotesque. Let people laugh. And now is Zi Huangting later. She laughed at her to take the lead bullying. To get her to bear this millennium unrighted wrong. Her name is ugly, so I personally think that Dongshi did not have imagined ugly. But she would follow the example of the beauty of this approach. Modern also has we see a lot of beautiful women. Some of her makeup. Or that some of her behavior. There are now many. Later, young girls learn. Can you say East facilities such acts is wrong here? Is not it. She's just not law school. I do not know how to play to their strengths. Right. Seen in this light so. The East facilities may not be as imagined. So ugly. Do you think there is no reason? Another point that is she sure Peng Xin. She is in the end what ails Many people think that she had congenital heart disease. But there is a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine for the record. She had not thought of congenital heart disease. But how do you say GERD? Because the Qing dynasty. Typhoid fever traceable set mentioned that there are. Hence it is under the stomach motives at heart. Is she sure Peng Xin not mind holding above? But then holding at heart. That represents a say. She really hurts the site of the stomach. Rather than the heart. That being the stomach. That most likely is gastroesophageal reflux. Because beauty care for well. Women worry that they spy honey trap. Well cannot accomplish the mission. From time to time she would attack. And with such a situation GERD chest. It is also possible. But the other said that some people think. The real cause of beauty. In fact, mitral valve prolapse. Because of this mitral valve prolapse. In young women on. And in the period before and after. There are also particularly vulnerable situation chest. So this is the beauty. From time to time it will be chest tightness. But you pay attention it does not mention particularly severe her symptoms. Or that there are more and more aggravating circumstances. So this was visible. Mitral valve prolapse argument. In fact, there is some truth. But beauty in the end she is suffering from any disease. She are currently unable to agree. Just to speculate on future generations according to the symptoms. If you want to know it could go and see. There is no beauty remains found. To test. But it is interesting that. She sure do not know the cause why she. But spread a thing. Later makes this dessert fame. This dessert is sugar lianzi. This is how it happened. Folklore says. Family Shih escort to this place joshing. Shih sudden onset. Family then let her stay at a local resort. Is a 3-month rest. Family anxious. How do you want to complete the task as soon as possible? So he visited doctors. A doctor cannot cure. Just at this time. Beauty maid service. Occasional isolated from neighbors. Country girls over there that says, they will come and go with lotus seed treatment heartache. So she put the findings to family. Family want to say dead horse a living horse medicine. He had stripped to give a 2 beauties try it. The results actually eat a refreshing beauty. Symptoms much better. Family a look helpful. Quickly stripping the addition of a few to give beauty to eat. But this time, they do not want to eat beauty. Why so bitter? Lotus heart is very bitter. The problem is that the disease cannot eat beauty good. Then how to do it? So then you ask Fan Li. Country girl had told that country girls to share her recipe. As long as the lotus seeds with sugar put boiled together. Coming later became soup. Do not eat bitter. Fan Li was later followed suit. After eating beauty. Many real symptoms. Later, therefore rehabilitation, because of recovered. Later will be able to perform the tasks of a honey trap. This process later spread to folk. Later put the rock sugar lianzi. As usual with dessert. While you can prevent heartache. Later, it became a dessert jervois. This legend. There are no historical data can be proved. But indeed make people feel. It is worth pondering right. Good, but talked about this place. By the way, also talked about a mystery through the ages, that is. We often talk about beauties by Yuxiua. Shih Tzu will be deemed to be the first of 4 beauties. But you do not know is. She sure is not suspected when the world's most beautiful. When the world's most beautiful beauty someone else. This beauty is Yu Fei. Go Chang Mao called the Fei. Why? Chuang Tzu mentioned that because of the Julia Mao Chang people of the United States also, fish see the depth of the birds fly see. So from the point of view, then this place. Beauty's beauty of the story is not in the body. But from the top of the hair Chang. And why say she was more beautiful than beauty? Because of. There are some historical data when the 2 men mentioned. Shi Shi Chang Mao regarded the previous column after column. Han Fei liked to say a special mention. Gushan Mao Chang Shi Shi's beauty. Chang is the hair on the head. Mentioned pipe. Mao Chang Shi Shi is also the world of beauty. Also the hair on the front Chang. Huainan is mentioned. This husband Mao Chang Shi Shi is also the world of beauty. Also the hair on the front Chang. If 2 equally beautiful. Mao Chang Shi Shi are after earlier. That is not to say that on behalf of the ratio of gross Chang Shi Shi to more beautiful on such a point right. But that makes us curious. Why is it more beautiful hair Chang? Later unknown inglorious it. Later scholars speculate that there should be. The one in the history of Mao Chang. Does not have any stories? She had no such patriotic sentiments like Shih Tzu. I finished my little big sacrifice. To contribute to national recovery. This is her. Mao Chang reason unknown. Seen in this light so. Ancient beauty. The reason may go down in history. She must have extraordinary sentiment. And have a significant impact on history. I do not know whether you agree. A careful bold hypothesis. Reasonable doubt subversion history. Shen Shiping subversion history. Hello, we see you next time.